imagine that he's gonna follow me over there. Get out of this cold. Oh, come on. Fine, screw it. Construction site it is. Climbing a fence and getting inside a construction site, I clambered through a window and went to some shelves. Grabbing a hammer from one of the nearby racks, I searched for whatever number of eager infected were stalking after me. Once I was done dealing with them, I reluctantly swapped clothes, risking infection over freezing to death in my wet ones. Before I could get my bearings, get settled, and even think about what happened to me, another horde had spotted me from across the yard. Jumping another fence, I made for a nearby residential estate, which housed a story of flats. If it were clear, then it could make an ideal place for me to catch my breath. Searching through the many items of stuff long left behind by their previous owners, I found myself a warm sweatshirt and outdoor jacket. I was also able to scrounge up some food and ate it in some semblance of peace in one of the bedrooms. So, here I was, once again, sitting in an unfamiliar room, wearing the clothes of dead strangers and eating whatever scraps that they had left behind. Back at square one. Using a pen and paper, I'd drawn roughly where I'd suspected I'd washed up from the bridge. The good news was it wasn't that far away from Nathan's. The bad news, however, was that I'd lost all of my stuff, including the engine parts which I'd originally left for. Which led to this massive waste of time. Not wanting to waste any more, I made myself some makeshift armour and decided that it was best to leave for Nathan's immediately. The quicker I could tell him that our plan had failed, the quicker we could make another. And hopefully, this plan would work out a lot better for us before the city got any more dangerous. Leaving the estate, I saw a nearby ambulance. Of course, there were infected around, so they weren't going to make it any easier for me to resupply on my medical items. Stuffing whatever it was I could find in the trunk, I then noticed the keys were still inside the black van that had crashed into the ambulance. So I thought, why not test my luck with the chance of finding a working vehicle? No, of course not. It wouldn't work. Whatever previous luck I'd had with vehicles before was now finite, if not already gone. Perhaps I even wasted it on surviving that fall over the bridge. But not soon after, an infected officer carrying a pistol and holster did at least bring back some faith that I wasn't completely... I didn't get a good look at the guy that fired at me on the bridge, but I could definitely tell that he was wearing a hazmat suit. The same kind that the chatty cold one had been wearing a good week or so ago. Could this have been his partner that he'd mentioned? The thought soon wavered as I'd seen what looked like a local pub. Inside I could at least grab myself a few bottles to use as distractible throwables, and maybe even some fuel for Molotovs if I were to run into any more trouble. Arriving at Nathan's, I was surprised to see a number of dead infected wasting in the road outside. Grabbing my new pistol, I called out, "Nathan, you inside?" I guess he left. It wouldn't have killed him to have left a note or something. Ah, never mind. Ken, I lost contact with you and can't stay in this location any longer. Please leave the engine parts inside the chest and I'll collect them later. Since you're staying closer to the hospital, could you check on the doctor? He hasn't been responding to our usual radio meetings and would like to know if he's still around. He could still be of some use. Also, I found something in the trunk of a police car while you were away. Since you've got both hands, you can probably use it a hell of a lot better than I could. Nathan. Checking the inside of the chest. Oh, a rifle. That's missing ammo, and it doesn't have a magazine. Great. Not only do I not have the engine parts to trade with Nathan, but now I also have to carry around what's basically a scary looking paperweight. Still, I suppose it's better than nothing. I made sure to leave Nathan a note explaining what had happened, and that our deal still stands, and that he should try and contact me another day. So, the doctor's gone missing now. And I suppose that I at least owed Nathan this, since I couldn't get him the engine parts. And it's not like I wasn't heading the same way to the hospital, so screw it. Maybe the doctor did need help. And if there was a chance that I could help him, there was also a chance he could return the favour for both me and Nathan. A bandana. Bandana? Well, it's no medical or gas mask, but it's a lot better than risking catching the Nox infection without one. Before I could head north, I needed to find somewhere to spend the night, at least to catch my breath before heading back to the hospital that was surrounded by infected. Waking up early again, I set out for the hospital, and thought that it would be better to stick to the coast, the same way that I made my own way to the bridge a few days prior. No, I wasn't exactly comfortable with going to the same place where I'd just been shot at not a day ago, but it was a hell of a lot better than sneaking through an infected-riddled streets of the city. Besides, it's not like the shooter would still be there. Right? Not a few hours later, I was back at the main road leading to the bridge, and I was happy to see that there was no sign of the shooter, which meant that I could take the time to search the nearby vehicles for anything useful, including the ambulances for medicine. Oh, I have a medical mask. I mean, it was better to look like a safe civilian than a bandit, I suppose. Plus I was kinda missing the last one that I had. Is that weird? Anyways, after getting more meds from the vehicles, I did end up finding another rifle in the back of a police car. Of course, it didn't have any ammo, but I could still hide it somewhere to use for later should I find anything for it. Heading up the road, I spotted a black pickup truck and hid the rifle amongst some fishing gear, and also made a note of where it would be so I wouldn't forget it. Using the same window entrance I used to leave the hospital, I was now ready to face whatever number of infected would be waiting for me on the other side of those gates. At least I thought I was ready. Hell man, hated to do that. Unfortunately, due to the amount of infected, I wasn't able to check any of the tents for ammo or a working mag, at least not the ones that were closest to the entrance. In a futile attempt to lead the infected away from the tents, I ended up surrounding myself at both ends with infected. Hopping a fence, I was able to buy myself enough time to check only one tent. What luck it was when I found some ammo and a mag for my rifle as well. But the celebration would need to be cut short, as more and more infected began chasing me into the hospital grounds. Hopping through a window and going through the same familiar corridor, I hid in the same common room that I'd hid in before, where I was able to lose the infected and catch my breath. After eating some food and washing up, I loaded my now lethal paperweight and equipped it with a scope that I grabbed from the tent earlier. Some time had passed, at least long enough for the infected to lose interest and move on. Well, for some of them at least. With my exit now cleared, I slowly crossed the halls of the hospital, taking the same route to the second floor that I took when I first met the doctor. I was grateful to have not lost the keys when I jumped over that bridge. I could still use the staff hallways and staircases. It was here on the second floor I remembered that I didn't exactly meet the doctor. He sort of just knocked me unconscious and then left a note. Actually, he did that twice. Perhaps this time he might actually be in a social mood, if I could actually find him. I wasn't stupid enough to start shouting "Doctor" at the top of my lungs inside a hospital full of infected. So instead I just went room by room looking for him. I started to doubt if he was even there after 7. Until... maybe he's not even in here. That's what you get for thinking I was just going to let you do that to me a third time. Doctor? Well, shit. Hmm?